Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome into the Funshop podcast with Greg and Ronnie. We are streaming to you live from Los Angeles, California. What's up, Greg? How you feeling today?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling good. I got a stomach full of Vietnamese food.
Yeah, soda chan.
Shout out Chateau Lemongrass, one of our Wednesday favorites. Rent's paid, so no one's gonna kick us out.
Well, at least not for this. At least not for a couple more weeks.
Not for this month. I paid the cable, so good. You know, all good, man. I got my Potter auction coming up next Thursday, so mark your calendars. Got some. It's called Glimpses, and it's like 380 lots of vernacular and other types of photographs.
Yeah, fun stuff. More fun stuff from the fun shop.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling good. My car took another hit this weekend. 4th of July, got hit by fireworks this weekend. Got a window broke in, a couple of bags jacked. It's just a little too much partying for me in shady areas. So
yeah, man.
You got to calm down a little bit.
Maybe you'll learn your lesson. You're not in a RoboCop movie.
Let's not go that route. I'll bring my gat everywhere. You guys got to beware. But anyway.
Well, we have a special guest today, and actually, we'll do this. We'll talk. Well, so your weekend was just partying, basically.
My weekend, I've been having too many 4-day weekends. Pretty much, I need to cut down the 4-day weekend partying. You cut down to maybe 2.5.
Yeah.
Once I got my window fixed. So.
Yeah, I had a pretty chill week. I never remember what I did Saturday. But
you
Sunday,
didn't do nothing.
Yeah, I didn't do
doom
anything.
Scrolled and
probably
got high.
I put some stuff up on eBay, organized some stuff a little. Yeah,
very good.
Definitely got high multiple times.
No shit.
Tried to stay high as long as I could.
That's right.
Actually,
that's right.
And then Sunday was Rose Bowl.
Pasadena, where you at?
Yeah, I'll show off some of my this Rose Bowl turns into today with our guest.
Okay. I like
but yeah,
segues.
I'll do a little quick show and
what
tell.
you got, Greg? What you got?
So one of the things is this hat I'm wearing, and the toy I just dropped. So it's like it says "Hasta la vista, baby."
From that movie,
The Termination,
Predator,
The Terminators,
The Terminator.
and then this guy, and then this one, a camo mustache rides. It says for $25, but then it's crossed out and it says free.
Oh.
You got to be. Maybe our guests might want to wear. Well,
it makes me wish I had a mustache.
And then this one, I just like how it's like they're telling you twice.
Oh, this one makes me wish I had AIDS.
It's like no AIDS. Yeah, we get it. We know that's what it means when AIDS is crossed out.
No SIDA.
Anyways, I got another one that said
Magic Johnson hat.
Well, I don't know. We don't get to talk about HIPAA laws, bro. I had another one that says it's like a dog's face and it says "say no to drugs," but actually somebody bought it, so I can't even show it. Sorry.
Wait, because they already have it?
It's here, but it's like boxed up.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a good one.
So
though.
I'll show it once I get it in the mail.
Yeah, and then I got a
It's a Raglan
vintage Go-Go's t-shirt.
Hey, they got the meat.
We got the beat.
They got the meats
They
like
got
Arby's.
1981 tour shirt. And
all right.
then
Is that a
this
large?
was actually
Can I fit in that?
half of you probably could. And then I got this cool
Leather
angel.
Leather angle?
And
Leather angel.
I looked them up, and they actually were created by
Motley
Nikki
Crue.
Sixx.
I was right.
You were right. Motley Crue.
Hell
Nikki
yeah.
Sixx did the logo. I think it was short-lived. This might have been only one of their shows, I think. But
all right,
cool poster.
That one's got to be worth at least $10. Anywhere from 10 to 1,000.
A guy on Instagram, because I posted it, asked me if it was for sale, and I told him 200 shipped, and he said he was thinking more of 100, but I said no, I'm kind of firm right now. Yeah. But anyways, I ran into this gentleman, Mr.
Who is this guy?
Mark Dean Veca.
Mark Dean Veca, welcome to the Fun Shop,
world
sir.
famous
Thank you.
artist.
Oh,
welcome to the Fun Shop, sir.
Thanks
for joining us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How
Thanks
does
for
he
having
relate
me.
to the Rose Bowl? You said.
So I ran into him at the Rose Bowl.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this before the show. Like we're on. Like I'm a 5 to 5:30 in the morning flea market guy, and Mark is like 1 minute after 9 a.m.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. I show up at 9 because I can still get parking right on the street, very easy.
He does breakfast before the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, a little something. Mm-hmm. And then and it wasn't crowded. It was actually very, very nice. Sunday morning.
Yeah, the Rose Bowl's become. I mean, you've probably been going there a lot longer than I have. Maybe.
Maybe. But
but-
I'm sure you've been there many more times than I have.
Yeah, but I guess you've seen. I mean, there's never this many clothes as there is now, right?
Oh. It's hard
Like,
to
do you
say.
remember when it was like only the white lot was clothing? It
Oh
was
yeah,
like
before the orange.
Right.
lot.
only
Oh, yeah.
over the bridge. That's the
Right.
only place you'd ever see clothes.
Right.
Now, I mean, it's. I don't think there would be much of a market if they didn't allow it.
Right.
Because
right.
there's just so many.
Yeah.
Again, we were talking about like the pandemic time during lunch, but I think like you said, where you were talking about like selling more prints as something new that you hadn't done before. I think a lot of people got into reselling vintage.
Well, yeah, and there was just so much stimulus money. I think that's the other thing that got me kind of into, because it was like, wow, this stuff, I can sell this stuff,
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it affected everyone. That's one thing that it affected is there was a lot people realized that. And I think on the flip side too, I think people realize they just like sitting home and buying everything, you know?
Yeah.
So in some ways, I mean, it sort of created a monster of sorts, but it did allow people that were creative enough to, figure that part out. But yeah, no, I just think, that was so anyways, I think that's why you see a lot of clothing now.
Well, I was going to say, do you ever go across to that other lot at all? I mean,
yeah, I do sometimes.
okay.
Yeah. Only because, sometimes you can actually find some
Yeah,
stuff.
you never know what you'll find.
Yeah.
Because also too, if you're just like, if you don't have like a connection or something and you just, I mean, not always, but I'm pretty sure that it's so kind of booked up and stuff that if you want a space, like they always have spaces in the white section. But if you don't sell clothing, you're kind of like putting yourself in no man's
Exactly.
land.
Yeah, like a misfit.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't been over that side in a while.
But but with that said, like when you score, you can score. Last time though, somebody was like, "Oh, you got to see my friend. He's over there selling all this like really old stuff." And then like I finally found him, and it was like, I mean, it was old stuff, but it was like junk, and he was like just passed out in his van. And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, I don't know. He probably
Terry?
like, how's he do? No, it was just some like random dude, and like,
know.
how's he doing? I'm like, I don't know. I just like kind of I was like getting close enough to just make sure he was alive, but I mean, it didn't seem. That's how it seemed like things were going.
I sold stuff at the Rose Bowl like in the 80s a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
that?
making I was making furniture and accessories out of copper tubing, like candelabras and tables and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and that was kind of a little side thing that I went off on for about a year doing that stuff. And so, yeah, we got a booth there we got a spot there a couple of times, getting up at, so early, get up there, wait in line in your truck and get out there. But it was
so this
fun.
was in the 80s because I feel like, and did you have success with that even back then or not really?
I think the first time maybe we did it enough to make it worthwhile to go back. And then the second time it was just seemed miserable.
Well, I feel like it's funny because I feel like that's what's that seems to be what's kind of popular at like a Rose Bowl now. It's like repurposing and like making your own stuff. So I feel like you might have even now, if you were doing that, you might actually do okay.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
Luke, my son Luca has taken up that pursuit. He's kind
Really?
of my old designs from back then. He's going to start fabricating those. He's already started playing around with putting those together.
Oh, that's
kind of
awesome,
reviving
man.
that brand.
Yeah.
That I started back then.
Mark, man. I like
Veca
that.
and Son.
It was
Veca.
the brand was called Veca Fabrica,
Okay.
and that was the furniture and accessories. And then I ended up turning that into a candle business, beeswax candles, and I sold those out on the street in Soho when I first moved to New York.
Wow. I never knew this about you. That's awesome.
And
man.
that
What a cool
that
story.
turned into something like a real business where I was getting orders from Barney's and Anthropology and like selling them all over the world.
Really?
Just-
Back in
but
like the 80s?
This is when I moved to New York, so this was early 90s.
Oh, early 90s. Okay.
And there were a few years there where it was like going gangbusters, And then all of a sudden, that particular kind of candle, maybe too many people started making it, but it just totally fell out of fashion. And I was left over with like literally tons of beeswax.
So you were it's like the candle, the the candle craze of '93 or something.
Yeah. And then I ended up just doing it seasonally at that Union Square Market over, that they have every year, the Christmas market.
Yeah.
I was gonna say holiday. It seems like a holiday.
So I would
thing,
do that
like
every
candles.
like November, well, between Thanksgiving and Christmas every year.
Now, when you were doing this, were you already like illustrating and painting as well, or had you not really?
Oh yeah, I was always painting. So
Yeah.
I mean, that was throughout my whole life. But yeah, when I moved to New York and I didn't have a job, I started out selling that stuff on the street in Soho, like by the old post office where Louis Vuitton is now, kind of over the Apple stores
Yeah,
over
that's
there.
cool, man.
But yeah, and so then I kind of had to narrow it down to a few different things, and that was one of them, just to
Yeah.
make some money.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That was like, it kind of reminded me. That's like one of those like you could tell like you could tell that story to like a kid. Be like, I used to sell candles on
Yeah.
Canal.
Yes.
And you won't even
In the freezing cold.
In the freezing cold.
Yeah.
I remember like it reminded me of the story. I might have said it before, but there's do you remember that brand King Stampede?
No.
Streetwear. You remember them, right? Yeah, they had this store called Boundless over in Williamsburg, and I remember I went in there one time, and like Fat Joe was at the counter. He was pretty skinny, but you think he was basically still like he was like Skinny Joe, but like. Or maybe like Husky Joe, probably. He was like definitely losing weight. But I remember him saying how like, how he would like, if any, like he would tell these kids like if they were like complaining about like, or tell about like marketing yourself or something, and he was saying, yeah, me and like Big Pun, like me and our fat asses would like climb a pole and like put up like like the thing of their new album. So he's like, don't tell me you can't go out there and promote. So
right.
no, it's cool to hear that, because I think like a lot of times and I think about this a lot, is like I think people forget that sometimes you just have to like do whatever it takes to get yourself out there and get people to pay attention to what you're doing.
I was actually working at the Guggenheim.
Podcast.
What?
Like a podcast.
Like a podcast,
yes.
yeah.
I was working at the Guggenheim as a guard when I first moved to New York.
Holy smokes.
Really?
Yeah, and the candle business was actually got successful enough that I had to quit because I had to make the candles, right? So I just kept calling in sick because it was Christmas time. Everybody needed these orders, and so I just stopped going to work.
Yeah.
Ran out of sick days, and then like, what's going on? I just didn't even answer. So I just kind of never even just didn't show up again. But I had people working for me. I had, had to get this stuff out, and it was kind of insane. But it was great,
So then what? So then after the candle bust, then what? Then what did you start focusing? Or was there?
I don't.
COVID
trying to
happened.
think. Yes, that's a good question. So I mean, because I never like after that, I think the Guggenheim was like my last like straight job.
That was like the last time you ever worked for anybody?
Yeah, I think
Wow.
so.
Were you
That was-
armed?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
This was just very,
He had a
stand
stick.
around.
Yeah, right. We had a whistle.
Yeah, they won't even let you. They're like, if anyone tries to steal anything, just don't stop them because you're not allowed to. That's
Right.
That's you're making an arrest and you can get in trouble. for that.
Be like, well, then I'm not coming into work. I'm going to stay home and make candles.
But
You're like, I caught the
Yeah.
crook and like you like busted the like painting over his head.
Right.
He's like just sticking out.
yeah, so
No.
you know what? I honestly I can't remember what I was doing at that point. It's just like different things, odds and ends.
Right.
Hope maybe selling some work by that point. I don't know.
Prince.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing the prints,
prints
yet.
yet.
I was just paintings and drawings and
So
know.
you've been like a full-time working artist since then, since like the mid-90s.
yeah.
Like you've been making a living.
Yeah,
off your
well, I
art
mean,
and-
actually, I kind of put it at like the work kind of really took off around 2001, 2002.
Okay.
So I've been really supporting myself on that
Yeah.
ever since.
Well, I was gonna say, it's a good transition because I was thinking about the first time I saw your work, and it actually was something that you brought up at lunch. Was that you had done the collaboration with Cause,
Right.
And I just look. I mean, it was. And what year was that? Like 2004 or 2005, or was it a little bit later?
Maybe 2006. I'm trying to remember that first T-shirt, what the date was on that, but I think 2000. 6. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And I remember because like I was, I'm still a fan of Cause. I mean, I don't really collect his stuff, but I mean, I was always drawn to it. And so I watched his career grow. And I remember when I saw your graphic, I think the first thing I saw was when you did the skeleton, which I don't know if that was around the same time.
Little
or
after that,
little
yeah.
after that. I might have saw the shirt, but I remember thinking to myself, like, I love this, but I can't see. But I was like, I was just really, it was a surprise thing for me because, like I loved the collaboration, but I mean, it just seemed very different than what Cause was doing at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And and so when I saw that, I was like, oh man, this guy's art's cool. And then I was telling Ronnie, I think it was even before it might have been before I moved here, but I was either like visiting and someone was like, oh, there's these art shows going on. And then someone like mentioned your name. And then I like remembered you from when I saw that Cause thing. And I was like, oh, I want to see this. I want to see what his art looks like.
Cool.
Cause like, I liked that,
Yeah.
So it was like an interesting story. So, I wanted to like ask you about that. Cause I sort of wanted to see like, sort of how, like, yeah, that's interesting to hear. So in 2001, 2002, you sort of started like, is that when you sort of kind of like created your style that you do now, or just kind of starting
sort of, I mean, my work had changed at that point, and I started doing these drawings that were pattern related to this 18th century French pattern known as toile de Jouy, which usually is very ornate, and it has all of the countryside scenes or mythological kind of things that go on in it. And it's very, Louis XIV kind of vibe. So I started, and it's a pattern that I first discovered on my mother-in-law's bathroom wall.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, so I'd be sitting there and I'd be looking at the wall and be like, this is so cool. It's like the draftsmanship is so amazing, and you can't find the beginning or the end of the pattern. You always find something new.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to, I said, I got to do something with this. I didn't know what it would be, but eventually I kind of projected up the basic outline of the, just the bare bones of the pattern, and just went in and started improvising on that. And so that's the first work that that really, took off as far as sales goes.
Right.
So I was, in galleries, and that was getting more attention, and that also led to some other, other things after that. But the style that you saw that, on that Cause skeleton grew out of that work for sure.
Nice.
It was when I started really doing like really fine line work, whereas before the work was maybe more gestural and painterly in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like, I just think the fine line work to me, some people are just natural at it, but to me, it's like, I feel like it's not easy to get to be that good at it. Like, what did you like? Which I guess like did you study art? Like, did you kind of know, like, you went to art school and had the basics and
yeah?
What?
Well, yeah, I went to art school, but I was always, since I was a little kid, it was always comic books, right?
Yeah.
Starting off with like Archie, and then superhero comics, and like Mad Magazine, and then into underground comics. But that's one of the ways that I really learned to draw, which is copying out of those, right? And then went to art school, and then definitely learned a lot of other things along with that. But my work still has always really been, related to that sort of cartoon line. And but there was one point where I was doing these drawings, pattern drawings that I mentioned, and I had a show of those in a gallery, right? So I just started one in the studio, didn't know what I was going to do, and just started improvising and doing all this stuff and putting in found imagery from popular culture, and then kept doing those, and they kept getting more and more kind of refined because the more you do, and they would get more kind of the line work was becoming more refined in that way. And so I had the show in Chelsea, a 2-person show, Daniel Silverstein Gallery, with an artist named Carter Potter. And someone in the guest book, right, wrote something about, I don't know what he said, the new Rick Griffin or something, right? And I didn't even know who Rick Griffin was at that point. Right? Because I was in underground comics, but for some reason I missed Rick Griffin, who turns out is to me like the master draftsman. Like he's just, I mean, Crumb is amazing, obviously, but he's different than Crumb, and it's just in a different, more finesse.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, I'm with you on that. I think I'm honest. I mean, look, I mean, he's as SoCal as you get, right? And I think it took me a while to really understand, like, just how, prolific he was, for a lot, for like the inspiration to a lot of what, came after.
But I think just for some reason that comment in the book maybe made me start looking at Rick Griffin, and then it might have. This is very kind of odd for me to even say, but that comment in that book may have influenced me and kind of got me to think, well, maybe I should push myself, just go with that, go in that direction, and push myself more into that arena, right? And kind of run with that and lean into that.
Yeah, and well, now, I mean, we were talking about lunch. Like, I mean, now you are doing pretty well doing like gig posters,
right?
Right. And that was Rick Griffin's chops, like, I mean, he made some of the most
absolutely
insane, graphics. So
and all that stuff. Like, I grew up in the Bay Area, so all of that psychedelic rock poster kind of art from the 60s and 70s, which is when I was growing up there.
Yeah,
that was definitely an influence on me as well.
Yeah.
So you're right. I mean, now that I'm doing the gig posters now.
Right.
And I would never say that I'm anywhere near Rick Griffin. I'm not saying that, but I really admire his work.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's cool. So and then you were sort of telling, I don't know if you want to sort of tell the story about how you kind of because we were talking about like street art and streetwear, and I was sort of saying how, like, moving to New York in 2002, I mean, that really, really introduced me to street art, because, like, I mean, we were kind of getting, I mean, Central Florida was devoid of any kind of culture, but then we started getting magazines like While You Were Sleeping, or, I don't know, or like weird, just like random magazines like that would be at like Barnes and Noble, and then started seeing like, Obey Giant, all different people. And then moving to New York, it was like just being like, it just, kind of just seeing it in real life. I mean, I guess for you, Ronnie, you kind of, I mean, LA obviously has a lot of culture, like
at that time
and stuff.
Yeah, at that time, I think like Banksy was blowing up, and like out here we had like, I think Buff Monster was the big one coming up around that time.
Yeah, maybe,
with the pasties.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff.
could see that.
And like there was a lot of Obey Giant out here.
Yeah. But then because you were saying because you knew Stash, and then obviously, I don't know if you know, this could be its whole, it'd be funny actually to have Stash on here. We're friendly now, but he was my landlord for a while.
Oh, right.
So it kind of, we had a little bit of, we had a little bit of back and forth, but it's,
now I definitely want him as a guest.
We're all good now, but it's always funny when you bring that up, because I just think of, I just think of a lot of things, but
Yeah. Well, and I got to say, Stash was a big influence on my whole career as well, because he actually introduced me to so many people. He was very generous about introducing me to people. And like, even before we really even knew each other, our kids kind of went to school together when in kindergarten at that age. And this was all in Williamsburg. Yeah. And I showed him my work, these paintings and drawings I was just talking about, and that's around the time period it was. And he said, "Oh, Mark Parker would love these." The CEO at Nike, who was a huge collector. Talk about collection. He's got amazing collection of everything.
Yeah.
No, so it's incredible.
Yeah.
So Stash is like, "Yeah, I'm flying to London with Mark on the private jet like tomorrow. Give me give me some things. I'll show it to him." And so he did, and Mark ended up, just from that little printout, 8x10, whatever, he bought this 66 by 99 inch painting, just kind of like sight unseen.
That's awesome.
And he became a real supporter, buying original works, but also doing collaborations with Nike and like different shows and projects that went on for a while.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
did you ever do any, did you design shoes too?
Air Jordan.
I did. The only one I did, it was just like these super limited, like, I think they maybe made like 6 pairs or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is when the laser etching thing started.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of got in on that, and we did a whole capsule of leather goods, shoes, backpacks, belts, a couple of other things. And we did. Do you remember they had that space on Elizabeth Street? There was this 255 Elizabeth
Yes.
Street, and so we did a show there. I did a big installation, and we had an auction of these, these capsules. We had like a charity auction of that
Oh,
stuff.
nice. Yeah.
But I did other stuff for like Nike SB, and so I did snowboarding boots and different things, and I think also through Stash, I did some stuff, other brands, and that all came out of that meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I thinking about it now, I mean, I think at the time, it was a rough, looking back, it was an interesting time. And I think, I'm glad that I could, quote unquote, squash beef with Stash. And I think if I have any regrets in life, one of the things was, I think I was at the time, I think I was just too caught up in my own little world that I didn't realize like how much I could have like learned from him, if I would have, and it was just like this sort of fight that just was so dumb, but it's interesting. It's just interesting how, certain people affect certain people. But I will say that, like he definitely just, but it's like anything else, you can't please everybody. So,
Yeah.
So, okay. So Stash turns you on, you start working. And so then how do you meet Cause?
Yeah. So once again, I think Stash introduced me to Jamie O'Shea, who used to have Super Touch and was very involved in, a lot of that stuff, just art in general, and that whole scene, like the street art, streetwear, all of that. Anyway, so I think Jamie brought Brian over to the studio and just said, "Hey, Brian, you got to check out this guy's work,"
Yeah.
So he did, and Brian ended up, buying some work, and invited me to do some collaborations for his brand Original Fake.
That's where I saw. I would have definitely, because I remember that's when I was going to Japan at the time. I remember going to the store, and I'm sure I saw it there too.
Yeah, because they had the store there, and he was looking for, he wanted to collaborate, with some other artists, so it wasn't all on him, and there would be other things, so he was doing a little bit more of that at that time. I think he worked with, Pusshead and on some of the figures, and so we, I ended up doing T-shirts and the skeleton you mentioned, and different T-shirts mostly over the years. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's just interesting because it's always curious to, how it's, just that you meet certain people, and, it's, to me, that's always like the best case scenario by doing any type of collaboration. Right.
Yeah. And, and also just being in Williamsburg at that time. Right.
Right.
Because that's one of the great things about it. There was just all of that stuff was happening there.
Sure,
all those people were there. If
Yeah.
I hadn't been there, this would not have happened.
I know.
And it just sort of organically happens in a way, and that's the best.
Yeah, and I think honestly that's something that I think it's people have to understand sometimes with, sort of time and place, art movements, things like nostalgia. It's like, a lot of things happen in the moment, and it's just kind of like perfect, perfect scenario. It's like being in Brooklyn, like being friends with this person who's friends with this person, and just kind of like creating a community of people and artists, which, I guess it's still happening, but, that's like the way you got to do it.
Yeah. And obviously that's not really, Williamsburg is not really that way anymore. I don't know if Bushwick, I don't know, but I don't know where that is now.
I don't know either. I'm like, do you know, Ronnie?
Portland.
Maybe. Yeah, it could be Portland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Austin.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of communities I still like LA.
Yeah.
Sure,
why not?
I mean, look, I think LA, I see a lot of things changing. I mean, it feels like, it's going to be sooner than later that it's not going to be so, when I first moved here, I was like, I lived in Hollywood, and you could basically see the Hollywood sign, as you remember, like anywhere in Hollywood. Now, depending on where you are, there's like, everyone's vying for the like best view.
Right.
And so they're getting higher and higher. So, I think even across the street here, they're building like a big apartment complex, or I don't know, like, so.
Near here? Not near here.
Yeah, like across the street by where the barbershop is.
Not to see the Hollywood sign.
No,
Oh, you're just saying for
just
the
like,
view
I
in
mean,
general.
but think
Gotcha,
about
gotcha.
like, there's no,
Sorry.
it's kind of like how Brooklyn used to be, where it was like, you didn't
Oh,
really
yeah.
see a building more
Oh,
than
yeah.
like 2 or 3
No,
stories.
I remember the first time that I went to Williamsburg. I was living in Manhattan, and I went over there to see Pierogi Gallery, right?
Okay.
Pierogi 2000 back then. And I got up out of the subway.
Pierogies.
Sorry.
Pierogi. I got up out of the subway, and it's like, what? It's like that you could see the sky like all around you. It was
Right.
crazy. I was really surprised by that. You come out, you go in Manhattan, you go in, and everything's all the buildings. You
Right.
go underground, you get out on the other side, and it's like completely different. And obviously that's gone.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hadn't been there in years, and
Yeah.
then I went a couple years ago and went like, walked by like the Chanel store and the Hermes,
Yeah.
and I was just like, this is wild, even just, I don't even think the Whole Foods was like that hadn't even been there when I had left.
Oh yeah. Well, we left in 2008.
Okay.
And we moved there in 97.
Oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
interesting. And you don't see yourself moving back there, right?
My God, we talk about it all the time.
Do you?
Well, yeah, I mean, so my wife and I have a house in Altadena, and
Right.
we survived the fire. The house didn't burn down, but my wife always says, if the house had burned down, we would be living in New York at this point, because there was actually, it's like a 12-hour period we thought we lost the house.
Yeah,
And
that's
we were
a
like-
wild. I mean, that whole situation was wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so happy that you guys.
Yeah.
but it wasn't like it was happy, because I remember you were telling me stories of like the first night. I mean,
Oh,
if I could tell the story.
I don't remember what I told you.
I mean,
so go
I think
ahead.
you told me like the very first night, like no one, at least from what you were seeing online or the thing, no one was really making like it, like you thought you guys were going to be okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
To the
yeah.
point where you wake up in the morning and the sky's orange and you look like a couple doors down and like the house is on fire, right? Wasn't it something like that?
Well, not exactly, but
That's probably more
yeah.
dramatic.
No, actually, but you're not that far off, because
good version,
we
for
we
sure.
stayed, we were at the house until 2:30 a.m. right, and we were just like, it's never gonna get to here, right? But we're looking out the window and we see the fire on the hills there,
right. That was
and they never did give us a evacuation notice, but it was like, okay, we gotta go. So we evacuated with some friends and went to Highland Park. And then a few hours later, one of our neighbors posted a video on our street of his house completely engulfed in flames.
Oh, jeez.
So it was like, if that house is burning, what's going to stop it from getting our house? at that
Gotcha.
point? But we had some people in the neighborhood that stayed behind, and I think that had a lot to do with, the house surviving. But to go back to your question, it's like our son lives there now, and we still love it there, and we miss it a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, Altadena is never going to be
Yeah.
like it was. Like
Yeah.
we were over there today, and it's like, these houses going up, and like it's going to be.
Well, I
such a
forgot.
hodgepodge,
Yeah, I always
you know?
forget. I mean, not that I forget about Luca. I mean, Luca was an intern for me years ago. I love Luca, but I mean, I thought about it now, like, yeah, of course, his mother. What mother doesn't want to be
Right.
close to their son?
Right.
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
and she's
So-
from there.
and
She's originally from there,
right.
and
Yeah.
we do love it. I mean, the house we're in is great, and I just built this brand new studio 2 years ago, in the backyard, which was the whole point of buying in Altadena. It was to build this thing, and it's great. And we're gonna move back in once we get the house all remediated and repaired, and then just, I don't know, the way I see it, we'll move in and we'll decide what we want to do. But I don't
Yeah.
feel like I need to be tied there for any reason. But the only thing is, like, it's a great house, and I have a place to work. If we moved to New York, where the hell would I work?
Yeah,
I
that's
could get a studio. I mean, getting an
Yeah.
apartment would be hard enough. But
The goal is to retire. Just retire.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
the thing. Yeah, like move to New York when you don't have to. I mean, not that you might never
Don't
stop
ever wanna have to
painting.
think
Yeah,
about
well,
work.
that's
you
what
know.
that's kind of my wife's idea, and it's just that me having the the studio issue, but I still want to make work, right? I don't plan on ever retiring, so
I'm sorry.
um,
I mean, man, when you have that creative energy, you just gotta just keep on creating. You can't help yourself.
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I'm an artist, and I also don't think that we could do it without we got to have some income besides like Social Security or something.
Oh,
Right,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
right. So
Forgot about that part.
so we talked. I don't know if you told me before or after. I mean, you ended up. You don't have to retell the story. But when I saw you at Rose Bowl, you were going to buy a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
But also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but do you also go to the flea market for like inspiration for some stuff? Sometimes?
Yeah, and I didn't actually go there to buy a piece of furniture. It was like once I got there and I saw it, I went, oh yeah, I need this. So
Right.
so I started looking. But no, so I've been going to the flea markets, so Rose Bowl and PCC, especially when I was living over there. I would I would go every time, and I was going for a lot of different reasons. And one of them was looking for things to do paintings and drawings of. Also looking for things to paint on, because I don't know if you remember I would get those Disney banks from the 70s. And paint them white, and then do all my line work on top of those. So that was something
That's what I was. That's
doing.
one of the things I was thinking of.
Yeah,
So you were going there to buy.
Yeah, I
those.
would. Well, yeah, I would. I was just looking for any kind of thing that I thought would be cool to paint on. Right.
Right,
So
yeah.
that was one of the things, and just and really, I kind of felt like a lot of times I feel like going to a flea market like that, I get more out of it sometimes than if I go to a museum, because there's just so much. There's so much of visual, overload of culture, of popular culture, and just like, so much to see, and stuff that you would never expect,
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because that's something, obviously I deal and stuff, but I mean, I always loved the flea market for that reason. Just, as an artist, I think, and I always encourage other artists, I'm like, go to the flea market, just like look around, like, I mean, look, I think artists naturally are kind of collectors, or at least collect, I don't know. I feel like not all artists are collectors, but most collect. I don't know.
I think there's definitely something.
There's
to
something
that.
there.
Yeah.
The artist with more money can afford to collect.
Well, but the good thing about the flea market is that you still can find something like, you could find like probably a Disney bag for like $5 or $10, right? That you could turn into something that you could sell for, I don't know, $800 or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you're selling it for more, but
I'm in the wrong business.
whatever it was, it's like, and that's become, I mean, it's funny because like I was sort of going to ask you that, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that you did and you do, even with like the pop culture characters, and I'm sure you've seen this, is like, now I feel like that's what a lot of artists are doing, like really leaning into like pop culture characters and like it becoming like almost their identity. It's like, have you ever like felt like, has that ever like concerned you? Like, oh, I don't want to be the guy that just does that. Like, they're like, oh yeah, that's the guy that did like the Felix the Cat thing or something, or is that something that even affects you, or you don't even think about it?
I don't think it really affects me. I have thought about it, but on the other hand, it's like, ultimately now I just do what I want to do.
Yeah.
I can't worry about all that. I just do what I'm interested in doing at the moment. And, that can change any time. I've kind of gotten away lately from doing with the posters, especially, the posters that I've been doing for bands, these gig posters. I've kind of gotten away from the intellectual property,
like parody flipping,
well, no, just as far as like doing these characters, right? That I'm kind of getting more into the intellectual. I mean, to the public domain stuff now.
Sure.
I don't know. I think I got spooked once about doing this stuff. Yeah, about doing stuff that's, that's not licensed. I mean, I never worried about that in the past.
Right.
I've done a lot of paintings, using all these kind of characters throughout my career. But I think at a certain point, maybe I don't know, I got spooked.
It's interesting because I still feel like there's never been. I mean, I've never heard of like a company suing an artist for painting.
I'm sure I'm being overly paranoid.
No, I don't know because I'm curious if that's a thing. I'd have to look it up.
They get
Well,
cease and desists.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, I guess.
That's
but
what
I mean,
thought.
even an original painting.
No, well, no, the paintings I
No.
could still do that. I feel
Right.
like
You
that's
do
okay.
Prints and T-shirts.
But if
and
I'm
there's
doing-
more,
Yeah, if I'm doing like a
product.
poster for a band, right?
Right.
Then that brings it up to a different
Right.
level,
Where there's more eyes on it, and
more
so there's
eyes
more
on
of a
it,
chance.
and it's out. Like I remember doing something.
I'd imagine they'd have lawyers that would kind of be like, "Don't do this or that."
No, well, they don't. They really don't. I
All
think
right
it's
then. My
yeah,
imagination is
yeah,
wrong.
Yeah. So like I remember doing one for the Hollywood Bowl. This poster. It was a poster for the band Ween.
Sure.
One of my favorite bands. Love Ween. And I did this Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Nice.
And
sick.
and I also had done another one that year for the Hollywood Bowl one was actually that was Mars Attacks. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So that character. And
Sick.
the Ween one was for the Greek theater. But I kind of felt like, okay, I'm doing this poster. It's from a Hollywood movie. It's at the Hollywood Bowl. I just felt like, different, maybe a different set of eyes is going to be on this. And this
Right.
is going to be, somebody could have a problem with it. And the thing is, I don't want to deal with lawyers in any way.
Trust me.
I don't want to have anything to do with lawyers. So I'm just going to like move on and do into some other areas,
Yeah. I just think, and I'm always curious too, because like I also feel like once you sort of create something, you kind of, there's that balance of like, oh, should I keep like, like, do I really want to just keep doing this again and again and again?
Yeah.
And but then I think sometimes you can also, I don't know, man. I mean,
Well-
I put the eyeball on almost every single thing you could imagine. So
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not like one to talk. So
But I did do this, Grateful Dead, the Steely, that image.
yeah.
So I did a print. I mean, actually, a friend in New York, a collector named John Moore. You might know John. I don't know,
Not sure.
but he's great. And he commissioned me to do this a painting of the Steely, my version of this iconic Grateful Dead image, and I did some prints of that, and somebody in the Grateful Dead, the person who owns the license for Grateful Dead prints and posters, saw that and I heard from them, and I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, well, we're not worried about it that much, but the Grateful Dead is, very litigious. And so I was kind of like, that was
Yeah.
enough to like kind of,
Yeah, no, I trust me. I mean, it's something. It's hard because like I think about Mishka. Like some of our best-selling T-shirts was when we did a parody or a flip of something that was like very iconic, right? And it's like almost like. Like for me, I'd always like cringe a little when we'd like sell out of something and have to reprint it because I'm just like, all right, at like what point are we going to get a cease and desist? Right. And then in a lot of ways too, and I don't know, I was talking to someone about this, but I was saying too, I think also as an artist, you start thinking like, well, like, is that really what I want to do? Is like try to make money off of like somebody else's art, or do I want to like create my own character or my own thing? And like obviously. That's it's just a choice, but I don't know. At least for me, that's sort of where I lean to. When I'm thinking about all this stuff, it's like, is it better to create your own intellectual property that's inspired by something, even if it's similar, where you can continue to grow the character and not worry that you're going to get like a cease and desist.
I think
or sued.
I think it's kind of a different thing, right? Like pop art being specifically, taking things literally out of popular culture and manipulating them or representing them as art, and this whole idea of appropriation and all that.
Yeah.
But I think in this particular, like in the fine art world, that maybe flies a little better, right? Than when you're mass producing something.
Sure. Yeah. No,
know?
I think a lot of, I mean, obviously, I mean, you can just go back to the, I mean, I think the Andy Warhol soup cans,
Right.
like,
All
is the
that stuff.
beginning of that
Yeah.
in like popular culture, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of as simple as that.
And it's also, that's more of a conceptual idea, a statement anyway.
Right.
Taking
right.
it literally from, consumer culture.
Yeah. No, look, man, I still love parody. And I think, that's one thing, if you want to say one positive thing of America, that's one thing I do like is that, you can generally get away with parody.
But
But
I think that was the thing. I think I heard this lawyer giving a talk about all of this, and from what his definition was, what I was doing wouldn't fly as parody or it's all
No. That's the thing that's funny about it is generally speaking, like, well, that's the thing that I think people forget is for it to be parody, it's got to be funny, and like. You just, and again, like obviously funny is subjective,
Sure.
But it's like one thing if you like change the Heineken logo to be like hi again and you turn it into a pipe, then you're like, okay, that's funny.
Right.
Because obviously it's like.
The problem is it's all subjective, right? Ultimately,
Right.
it comes down to a judge to decide.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to get to that point.
No. Well, it's funny. One of my old lawyers that would help, I've had different lawyers help through the years with Mishka and stuff. And I remember at one point I had a lawyer that was helping me with like trademark stuff. And, he told me that when he was on the other side, like, or no, he was helping me try to fight it, but like, or I don't remember what it was, but what he would say is like, if he was like working at like a record label or something and, he saw something, he would basically message, and if he also knew that it was just somebody like just doing, like a small brand or a small thing, he would send them a cease and desist, and then like in a week he would go back online, and if it was gone, he kind of dropped it, and so I kind of always took that same approach. It was like, as soon as we got any kind of letter or anything, I was like, okay, we're just not going to do it anymore. And, because the biggest thing that people don't realize is that, or the biggest mistake that people make when they do get cease and desist is that, and it's just depending on how like advanced the cease and desist is they'll ask you, how much did you sell? And what people don't realize is that if you get to the point where you have a lawyer, like, a judge would have to order you to open your books and show them. So the reality is it's if you just stop doing it, it's never going to get there. Right. And a lot of people have screwed themselves because they'll be like, well, I only sold $10,000 worth. And they're like, oh, well, if you license it, it'd be 15%. So you owe us $1,500. And then they'll pay it. Right. So that's just some free, that was just one thing I'd always learned. It's just like, if you get caught or just don't argue it unless you're like, you're in the right, or your whole brand or your whole, what you do is based on parody, then fight it.
And I'm sure that, we both have had people bootlegging our stuff
for sure
as well. Right.
Yeah.
So then that happens and you're like, then you start feeling like, but that's straight up like copying one for one. It's not like doing anything to it.
Right.
Like with the posters, people will be selling these things online before I've even released them.
Yeah, and look, and I think there's like a history of, like, I guess, right, like even with the merman, with like, or the the creature, right? I think it would really come down to if Universal thought it was worthwhile to like, fight, but it would have only probably happened if you would have then continued to use that character and like started putting out T-shirts and making like mugs and
like
making plush dolls
I get paranoid and then I start losing sleep and then I'm like, okay, that's
not good.
Not worth it. Yeah, but anyway, moving on from legal issues.
Yeah, no, I hate. Trust me, I have like my own legal issues right now I'm dealing with. No, I'm just kidding.
It's all right.
But so what kind of like, I guess, what are you working on right now?
Yeah,
like,
looking into the future. And stuff.
Well, okay. Well, I can't remember if I told you. I'm sure I told you because I told everyone. But my recent metro station opened. Did we talk about this?
No.
So 9 years ago, I applied to be an artist on one of the new metro stations that just opened in LA on the D line, right?
Okay.
Ride the D.
I ride the D. And so I applied 9 years ago. I got the commission in 2018, finished doing my design at the end of 2019, and then it was all, fabricators and installation and everything. Anyway, so the station just opened, Wilshire and La Brea station. So I have a permanent public art work, in like a major, a big piece is like 15 by 50 feet is one of them.
That's
and it's
awesome,
all
man.
it's fabricated out of porcelain, enamel steel, so it'll last forever.
Wow.
And so that's been my recent news. That just
Yeah, I
opened
think
in
you
May.
invited me to that, but I've just been so crazed that I haven't been able to make it. But that's awesome, man. That's like that's I don't really think about like legacy stuff, but to me must feel really cool to know that 100 years from now, like people could be looking at your art.
Yeah.
In a pile of post-apocalyptic rubble.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like kind of exciting just to think about that.
For sure. And that neyborhood is like, I lived in LA in the 80s, and that neighborhood was kind of my stomping grounds, right?
Sick.
Like I had a studio in Washington and La Brea, and I used to work for a lot of all the galleries that was the hot spot for galleries. It was La Brea back then. And I used to work for a lot of those galleries, and that was kind of the artery for me, like, going up and down.
I think that's where I saw your first show was on La Brea.
Really?
Must have been. Maybe.
There's a lot of galleries there.
Maybe it wasn't, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Just
But
for some reason.
you had the store.
We had the store in La Brea,
Yeah.
so I'm wondering if something coincided. That's when I
Yeah,
met you. Maybe.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I loved. I mean, that's. I guess like I always liked that part of town. I mean, even when. I'm glad that I got to experience a time before when that, I mean, I remember people at the time talking, I mean, I know that because those buildings that were across the street were had been abandoned for years. And I can only imagine. And then the guy at the corner with all the junk. Of course, I loved that.
Mm-hmm. Right. There was, it's a lot different.
But I mean, I could imagine even back in the 80s how much cooler it would have been back then, and just a lot more cool weirdos and just
it was great
odd stuff.
It was great. And then, there was no Grove, and, Farmers Market was just sitting there acres and acres of parking. No one was going, and that was my
I mean, in the
favorite
80s,
spot,
was it kind of decrepit too, or was it still
It was a little bit. I mean, the character is pretty much the same, but I'm sure, and there were a lot, funkier stalls there. Now they're really they're kind of changing a lot of the character. A lot of more upscale things are moving in there, and I get
I haven't been there in so long, but I remember I liked going there even when I'd visit maybe in the early 2000s, where it was you'd go in there and it's just some certain things were had grease that was just still there for years.
Yeah,
and But
and I still love it over there. But and I worked for Faye Klein Gallery right there on La Brea, who's actually still there. But I remember going to your store. I don't know if it was when I was living in New York or visiting LA, or it was when we moved back.
Yeah.
But I think that's the first time I saw Lamore's work painted up on the wall, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know what period your store was open there, but
I think that was 2000 and let's see. I think we opened up the Echo Park store in 2009 or 2010. And then I believe we opened the La Brea store probably a few years after that. So it was probably 2012.
no.
Yeah.
Something.
No.
I feel like the La Brea store was around 2011, 2012.
2012,
around
something
there.
like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot later than when you were there. But I mean.
So we were already moved back here by that point.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing that and oh man, I would love to paint something like that on the wall here, and I would love to. And I was I would really love to do some kind of collaboration with Mishka.
Yeah.
Which we eventually did.
Right. Yeah, it took a little time, but we were going through a lot of. By the time I moved here, I had about a year and a half before then we had to close the store. Well, one because, I mean, Mishka, we were having issues, but more importantly, I mean, the rent. When we moved in there, we had a 2-year lease, and then it was like to renew for 2 years at Market. And from the 2 years that we were there, like, you know, Sugarfish opens across the street, and, you know, Undefeated moves across the street. And so, you know, I think our rent at the time was around 3,000, and then it was going to go up to 6,000. And then I convinced him to go down to 5,000. And then I think we signed another 2 years, and I think we lasted about a year and a half, maybe, or half a year. And then we ended up, luckily, taking the lease got took over by like Norm, who, rest in peace to Norm. Norm, the tattoo graffiti artist, MSK artist. So then he took it over, and then I know he passed away. So I don't know if it's still a space or not, but it was it was around that era. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so well, man, like, yeah, so we'll definitely put it in the description where the mural is, but that's really, well, not the mural, but the installation that you did.
Okay, yeah.
Is really cool. We need to check that out. And then I guess, like, I don't know, do you have any other shows coming up, or I know you said I guess.
Well, I mean, I do have a show. I'm going to be in a show at the Torrance Art Museum in September. So I'll have a few new paintings in that I haven't shown yet. And this is stuff that I've been working on for the last few years. But other than that, I mean, it's been rough after the fire, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, right now
now
it seems like I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Just the distractions from all the stuff we have to deal with on the repairs of the house. But, you know, so I've done work this year, but I feel like it was not a great year for making new work, just because there's so much, you know, other stuff. But, you know,
whatever.
I've definitely been busy doing a lot of stuff.
Man.
And so I'm trying to get back in, you know, working now, making some new stuff. But, you know, I'll just be doing more prints, posters, drawings, paintings. You know,
Sick.
Would love to do another big installation mural sometime, somewhere. You know.
Yeah, well,
I miss doing that.
No, that's always fun. Maybe I can convince the landlord for you to paint the wall. We're gonna have to get an endowment. We're gonna have to get like a Funshop endowment for that one.
Sounds expensive.
Yes, it sounds expensive. Did you have any questions for Mark Dean Veca?
No. No.
You're like, what were you doing again in your mother-in-law's bathroom when you were looking at the pattern? That's why when you were telling that story, I looked at Roddy, and he always talked about it. I was like, come on, Ronnie, you know what it's like about. That's where I do a lot of my research. And, And
I was like, wait, why are you looking at me? And then I started thinking about my own behavior. I'm like, man, my friends know me pretty well.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, man, it was, I'm glad that you could take the time to come here. It's like, I think, you know, I like having artists on here, because everyone's always like, well, why do you want to have an art, you know, or like why would you have an artist? And I'm like, because it's like, I'm an artist, and like, I think that all artists have like this similar kind of, well, plus we run into the flea market, you know, I'm sure I run into a lot of, you know, artists, different friends at the flea market.
Well, yeah. And I saw you at Decon. I think that's when you first mentioned it, coming on here. But I think part of it is like, we talk about getting together all the time.
Right.
And so this was a way for us to get together.
No. I mean, look, that's,
and I think that's great. And I just also want to say, whenever I see you, I'm always really happy to see you.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you, man.
I think you're super cool. And Ronnie, I just met, and you're super cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But it's just, you know, I would love to see you more often.
Yeah,
So,
man,
you know.
I'm around anytime. You know, I'm close, so you know, I'm just a phone call away.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not available Saturdays and Sundays.
yeah, right. Well, yeah. We
Plus
know,
Mondays to recover.
We know that you have your. Well, all right. So let's see. Just because we're almost. That's basically an hour.
Yeah.
So
thank you, Mark.
I guess this weekend.
Yeah, what's coming up?
I mean, for me, I guess it's just it's Long Beach. I don't know. Do you ever go out to Long Beach?
I still have not.
Oh.
We've been talking
Long Beach is
about
a good
it.
one.
Yeah, Long Beach is a good one.
Yeah, we have to do it.
And I don't know of anything. I mean, you know, I don't think. I mean, I don't know about anything going on this
I don't know
week.
if we should shout out. Like, I know, like, didn't Jim take over the Portland Expo, or was that's probably passed already?
Well,
Never
I mean,
mind.
the new
I shouldn't have mentioned
the
it.
new All American shows. I mean, that's coming up next month.
Okay,
is the All
next
American.
That's the toy one.
Toy one, and then
Okay.
first week of October, I'm doing the rare books.
Okay.
Oh, and September is Arcadia,
Oh, another paper show.
another paper show.
Okay, so a lot
Do
of
you come to
shows
the paper show ever?
I think
You should check that out.
Yeah,
I think you'd
Arcadia's
have
pretty
fun.
beautiful. Arcadia's nice.
is that Arcadia?
Yeah,
It's
close
Arcadia
by.
at
It's close by.
the
Yeah, yeah.
Masonic Lodge on Duarte.
Okay. And so, all right. And what's there?
It's just a postcard and
Photos
ephemera
and-
show. I
yeah,
mean,
stuff.
it's still called a postcard show because the majority of people are selling postcards, but it's a little bit, it's ephemera. It's like, I mean, yeah, you'll
That's
find
cool.
stuff.
So
yeah.
when is that happening?
I think
September.
that's September something.
Yeah, maybe
We'll
second
talk.
week.
Yeah, we'll
it's
talk
a good
about
excuse to go to Arcadia, eat some Chinese food.
Mm-hmm.
It. Plus Jeremy, the guy who runs it, he always buy. I mean, I can't.
Domino's.
Domino's. Yes, Domino's.
Oh yeah. Okay. I was just gonna say. I was gonna say. I'm thinking getting my car wrapped in Arcadia, but I think it's actually Alhambra.
I
Even
don't
better
know, maybe.
Chinese food in Alhambra.
Is it? Is that
Yeah.
where the good Chinese
Alhambra,
food is?
Monterey Park, Arcadia. Yeah, if you wind up in Arcadia, go to the mall, get some Din Tai Fung or something. You'll
All
be
right.
fine. You'll
Yeah.
be straight.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And remember to hit the bell, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And
All the fun
we'll
stuff.
see you next week.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Take care,
Thank
guys.
you,
Thank
Mark.
you, Mark.
That was
Peace
awesome.
out. Whoop. Wrong one. Psych.